Over the last year and a half, I've been on a mission to bring Minecraft into the real world using paper blocks that connect with tiny magnets inside. Together, we've built a lot. The caves, the Nether, the End, trial chambers, pixel art, the deep dark, the ancient city, and even a village. But after all that, I got one question. How many blocks have I made? Oh man, over 5,500 by hand. However, now I think it's time to use every single one and create a massive world. And all must follow one simple rule. The build doesn't end until every block and papercraft I own is placed. Let's do this. Out of all the different parts of the world to create, the first step is the overworld. And more importantly, a village. Man, we're starting big. Maybe a little too big. For this video is ridiculous, so I guess it sets the tone. After building a double deluxe size land with wool blocks to add elevation, I whipped out the shovel, smacked this baby down, and we have pathing. Over here I connected logs to make a farm with wheat and carrots on top. This spot features a cool little crib for the chuz. I assembled a well in the middle to gather around. We got religion in this corner to keep the boys moral. And speaking of boys, let's get crazy! Oh my god, there's so many! And you can't forget the iron golems. Afterwards, I also added a marketplace to trade. All 1 billion different stations the villagers use. Pumpkins, wheat, tall grass, taller grass, a pig, a cow, wolf, sheep, and finally, a tree here and a tree here. Now that we've placed all the overworld blocks, section 1 is complete. Wow. Whew, I need to breathe. I think in terms of how much all this took to craft, we're talking at least 150 hours or more. But we might have a problem. There is no way we can fit the rest of the sections on just this table. The tank is full. So what's the solution? We need 2 of them. I'm so down. Overall, the villagers approve, and man, this just got a whole lot bigger. Moving on from the village, in this spot, let's make a cave. Starting with the meat, I used a lot of filler blocks like cobblestone and wood to build up the base, and then once this chunk is created, I filled each layer on top with basic stone blocks until it actually looks underground. From here, we got some quests to fulfill, like first, placing coal, iron, copper, gold, lapis, redstone, and diamonds, then splashes of diorite, andesite, gravel, dirt, after setting up crafting stations and a bed to spawn nearby. And over here, I dug it out and placed calcite, water, and clay blocks to make a dripstone biome. God, I cooked with these. But besides that, I filled some sand on the side to connect with the village section. And for mobs, we have a spider, 2 skeletons, creepers, all slime sizes, a goat, and an armadillo. This cave is looking fresh. So far, I like that everything flows pretty natural, and my plan is to gradually increase in height as we go towards the back. So hopefully that works out. But in the meantime, let's get freaky with the deep dark. This one is gonna be pretty interesting because I crafted the most amount of blocks for this part of the game. I not only built the regular biome, but also the ancient city, which will sit on top. As you can see, the amount of filler blocks I used is silly. Definitely peaking at least 1,000 right here. But to lay the land on top, I used deep slate for the main bit, slotted in all of the different ores and their dark variations. And to add some interest, I placed a small river with lush cave blocks that hang over. Look, a boat! However, what's the deep dark without skulk? I added skulk catalysts, shriekers, I forgot what these are, and mainly the actual skulk blocks all around. Woo! Now remember when I said this was gonna be fat? We gotta build the remains of a city on top of this. Here we go. Using hundreds of deep slate bricks, I created ruins, some flooring and little spots spread out, assembled little pillars with lanterns on top, and for this big area up here, I had an idea. I'm gonna use the remaining blocks to build a frame on the left, the right, and in the middle, I placed the last bit of reinforced deep slate to make a ruined portal. Yo! To wrap it up, I added some final details to make it more interesting here and there, trying to master that rundown feel. But once the warden is placed, I'm finally done. 6 hours to put together. However, I lied to you guys. I'm not done, of course. Separately, I connected stone bricks, stairs, placed end portal frames with eyes of ender to create the end portal. Look, a silverfish! And slapped it right on the side of the build. If you're wondering, I placed command blocks in the middle instead of lava, because I'm saving that for later. But my god, this looks like a beast. I really like how it gradually moves up. The area is super fleshed out with mobs all around. It feels dangerous as it should. And this guy's such a sweetie. Boom. But I'm getting tired, man. I can't wait to take a nap and show y'all boys the next one. For this area, we're gonna hit it even harder. The trial chambers. Let's start chopping up some copper. Even though this section is a small sliver because we don't have too many blocks, I wanted it to feel like a nice extension to the caves. The floor is made up of oxidized copper, with the rims being the regular kind. And once you go up to the second level, I placed walls going upwards in strips, some grates to hold special items, and decked everything out respectfully. After thoroughly placing specialty blocks to make this area a destination, and some final details, we're done. I enjoy the fact that it has paintings, the breeze in the bogged, these little pots, redstone contraptions that look so good, and I made sure that there's a blend between the ancient city. It's definitely some eye candy among this whole world, but that kind of leaves me with an interesting question. What's next? Alright, Steve, I'm throwing you in this portal because we're going to the end. Out of all sections in the video, this has to be the easiest. I connected the land with a little bit of filler blocks and primarily end stone. Built a second layer on top. The gigantic pillars are 2 stacked up obsidian pancakes with these custom crystals I made. There's a bedrock pool where you can enter after beating the dragon. And speaking of our girl, yes, it's a girl. Here she is. She even brought a dragon egg. Other than the little enderman teleporting around, we are done. So simple, I swear. Now, normally you would think that the end is the final section, but this last one's not only bigger, it's the final piece to connect it all together. Introducing the Nether. Thank you, Steve. Going strong, I snapped together netherrack, red wool, and mapped out everything. Grabbed crimson blocks to create a crimson forest, did the same with warped blocks to create a warped forest. There's the soul sand valley with fallen bone structures, a basalt delta on the shoreline with a long lake of lava, glowstone, ancient debris, shroom lights, mobs like magma cubes, a strider, hoglin, piglin, and over here, I grabbed 400 nether brick blocks, assembled each layer carefully, added fences, stairs, and broken areas, placed wither skeletons and blazes. The wither, a ghast that connects from the ceiling, and finally, after fitting this build nice and snug to the rest of the world, dang, I messed with this heavy. I placed 14 obsidian to connect the dimension to the overworld, and boys, I think hold on a minute. Hold on, something is missing. What is this? I still have all of these iron and gold blocks, and a beacon. Wait a second. Brain blast! Our Minecraft world is now complete. Oh my god. This looks so cool. The little details are getting to me for real. It's over 60 inches long, 48 inches wide. Builds up like a mountain. And to be honest, this is a dream come true. This is what hundreds of hours of work and over 5,000 Minecraft blocks looks like in real life. Dang. Next is 10,000, boys. Let's go!